All right, so I was riding the GSX this week and the check engine came up, the CEL light came up. Last thing I did on my bike was to replace the rear sprocket. So not really anything that I think it's came up because of that. So we're just gonna be troubleshooting the bike today, and hopefully you can learn something about how to check your CEL codes on your bike if you have a similar bike like the one I have here. All right, so if you have a bike like mine, the first thing you want to do is just to remove your seat. So I'm just gonna be removing the one in the rear, and then I'm with the key, and then I already have this one removed, so I'm just gonna pull it out, just so we can get access to the diagnostic port. So we're looking at the rear of the bike. Your guys' bike might look different, maybe a little bit more organized because you don't have a bunch of peripherals or computers as well as the nitro system, but it doesn't matter. Move these out of the way and you're going to see your diagnostic port, which is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and press on it so I can remove the lid. And then you're going to see these connectors in here. So there's only 4 cables coming out of these. So you're going to be bridging these two with a piece of metal. So a paper clip or something like this, this is actually super long, but the important thing is that you are bridging, this one and this one. And when you turn on your bike, it's going to be on diagnostic mode. This is just going to allow you to, see the codes as well as checking, whether or not your throttle is balanced with something you can do on your display. So now I'm going to insert these two in here. I'm going to bridge these two by inserting these 2 pins there. And you can see how you are bridging those two together. Okay, so now I'm focused on the dash because I want to, show you what's gonna happen. So as soon as you turn on your bike, it's just gonna go and say check. Okay, so it's showing the position of your throttle. So you can see there's a C00 or 00, and then you have the line in the middle. So we have covered that before. If you have the line at the top versus the bottom, this actually affects how your throttle responds, when you're applying the throttle. So this is where you want it in this case. And now I don't see any actual codes. I have my bike lifted in the rear so I can turn it over and maybe run the wheel through the transmission to see if my check engine is dependent on the bike moving, because this is something that I noticed. I was able to see it one time, but then I was not able to see it the next day. So I want to take a quick look and see if I can come make it appear. So I'm just going to turn on the bike right now and see if I can get the check engine to show. So that did not do anything. So that leads me to believe that I have to move the bike so the bike can essentially run their checks and turn off the ABS before it completes that check. I don't know if you have noticed, but when you drive this bike, the ABS is going to be lit on for a second and then just going to go away as soon as you start moving. So I'm guessing the bike is expecting me to see something like that before it can show me the issue, or maybe that means the issue is dependent on the ABS. Maybe something is going on and it's not going to show it to me until I move the bike. So I'm just going to try to simulate that I'm moving the bike on the super careful on the lift. But if I'm not able to, maybe I'm just gonna have to ride it with the diagnostic port open, just so I can kind of simulate that I'm riding, and then the bike that's gonna get triggered, and we're just gonna be able to kind of read the code. So I'm taking the bike for a spin to confirm that I indeed have a CEL code, and after riding the bike and the bike running the checks, the C91 code actually came up. For a second, I thought I was crazy. So now you saw it. While I was riding, it actually popped and it was a C91. I've never seen a code kind of moving that line from the response of the throttle. I'm guessing that's just a representation of what the throttle is doing. So now I'm just gonna take a look. The one thing I noticed is the ABS light never went away, which is why I was thinking that maybe it's related to ABS. So now I'm just gonna be looking, and I'm just gonna bring you guys with me. A quick Google search looking for CEL codes for a GSX-S1000 revealed the actual code, which is the C91 is related to your vehicle's speed sensor. Since I narrowed down the CEL codes to be specific to vehicle sensors or ABS sensor, I went ahead and looked at the difference between the front and the rear, and as you can tell, the rear is completely missing. So now that we know that the sensor in the rear is the one that's broken, I was able to remove it by undoing the bolt. To my surprise, the other part that broke is still stuck in the rotor, which will give you a good idea of how long the sensor has to be so it gets super close to the ABS ring. So I decided just to purchase one directly from Suzuki. If you guys are interested in knowing what the part number is, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the description of the video. And I have to remove a lot of the bits and pieces plastic just so I can lift the tank. So I'm not gonna be walking you guys through all of that because you guys have seen that in the past. I'm just gonna cut it all the way up to replacing the sensor. I just started to kind of unclipping it. In here it has a permanent clip-on that I'm just gonna have to remove, and then the same, and then I'm just gonna follow it all the way up to underneath the tank, which I'm guessing is going to be one of these ones right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I haven't really followed, you know, the cable through it yet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take a look at it right now. So I'm just gonna cut it without cutting the line, of course. So okay, so it's freed up right now. It sucks because I didn't want to have to do that. And then there's another clip, one of those reusable clips in here on the actual brake line. So now we're just gonna follow the cable. So I think it's a good idea just to become familiar with, you know, how the cable is gonna look like. So you can see this is the end, and then we're looking at, you know, kind of cream yellowish type of cable, and then the negative, I'm guessing this one right here, which is the black one. So if I look in here, you're going to see two plugs. One which actually looks like, oh yep, it's same as the same cable that I'm pulling. And if I look closer, let me take a quick look in here. If I look closer, we're looking at a black cable with a cream cable, and then the actual plugs, you know, look very similar. So I'm just gonna be disconnecting this one. But yep, so if now we compare the two, look at how it looks, and now we look at how this one, you know, in the back looks like. So that we're now that we have the same cable. So I'm going to go ahead and run the plug underneath, keeping an eye as to where the cable is going. You know what I'm going to do? Because it doesn't matter anymore, I'm just gonna cut it. All right, so just gonna cut the cable here. I'm always will keep it. I was not gonna be able to reuse this anyway, but I can always reuse this part, and I can, you know, use this cable because it's actually high quality cable, you know, from Suzuki. So I'm just gonna use it. Okay, something that I wanted to do is to double check the number on the cable. So it's just now that I realized that this number was actually here, but it's a good thing because I can compare against the bag, and you can see it's 65710 04K00. So that's the correct cable. So now I just have to be very careful with, you know, being able to not to damage the sensor. So I'm just gonna try to maybe start from here, running the cable down, and then once I have it completely routed, I'm just gonna go ahead and start using some plastic, you know, tie wraps, so I can zip ties, so I can get it, you know, pretty close and make sure that it's not, you know, in between anything or whatever. Okay, so right here, pull it. I'm going to connect it. Connect it. This is probably the perfect angle to bring the sensor here. So I'm just gonna show you, you know, kind of route it the same way it's going to be fixed to the bike. And what I wanted to do is that I removed this base. So I'm just gonna run the sensor through here. So this one is the one that goes here. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that, you know, finger tight. So take a quick look so you can see how it looks. Perfect. And now you see there's a tab in here, so the tab is gonna go here. So I'm just gonna rotate it like so. Actually no, I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna put the tab in here, and then it's gonna be like this. With my hand, I'm just gonna apply some pressure just so I can align the hole. Now you can see, you know, this is the hole, and I'm just going to run this bolt through here. Okay, it went in. If I am not mistaken, that's a 10. Okay, pretty tight. And now I'm going to tighten the bolt that's holding the sensor with, that's a number 8. I'm not gonna torque this to any specs. I'm just gonna make it tight. You're gonna feel, you know, the resistance where it doesn't want to go anymore, and that's important because you don't want to break or crack the plastic. The end is right here, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can probably see how the sensor is like super close to the ring, and this ring is the one that's sending the message to the sensor, where it's just kind of picking up the information in the sense of, you know, whether or not the tire is like locking up, and it's going to be sending a signal for the ABS to lock or unlock the brakes under, you know, braking. Okay, so now the focus is going to be just to route the cable the same way the cable was ran before. So now you're going to use your plastic clips just to, you know, add pressure in here, and the cable is just going to be, you know, getting in place. This is where I remove one. I'm not gonna completely close it now because I want to allow for some movement. But for now, I'm just gonna at the very least just, you know, get a zip tie in. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's another, you know, clip right here. So I'm just gonna make sure that the cable is also on that clip. Perfect. And I think at this point I have the enough slack that I need. You don't need more slack than the one you have right now. So I'm just gonna fix it in place. And now I don't think, I'm just looking for places where there's, you know, enough, like a lot of slack or anything. If anything, I might put another one in here, which, you know, I have this bike for what, 6 years now. Nothing like that ever happened. So I'm not expecting anything to happen, but still, I'm just gonna put another one in here so it's tidy and it looks tight. It looks perfect. And I know it's a little bit difficult just to see, because there's everything, seems like everything is the same color or whatnot, but I have a few cables kind of going from like either my Diagnostic computers and some other stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that I have this in here as well, just so I can keep the sensor, you know, making sure that it's not gonna be flopping or anything. And maybe I'm just gonna put another one in here just so there's not a bunch of like slack on this side, and then the cables can get, you know, tangled with other stuff. All right, so we're good to go. All right, so before I get too far, I think at this point I just put all the plastics, and I'm just gonna leave the sides, you know, without installing them, and I'm just gonna put the seat and take it for a spin, because I just want to make sure that it works, and I'm not gonna be able to see the ABS light turning off unless I'm rotating and the sensors can actually, you know, see the wheels moving. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that right now. All right, so as you were able to see, the light went off as soon as the wheel started moving. So that's exactly what we were looking for. So that's a successful way to finish this video. Of course, not without lessons learned. And what is the lessons learned? Look at your manual. It's just so easy for me to get comfortable with the fact that you know your way around your bikes, that sometimes you forget those minute and minor details that can set you back a little bit of time or money in that sense, because that ABS sensor actually costed me like maybe 50 bucks, you know, USD. So, you know, it was not horrible, but it's something that, you know, it's annoying, and you want your bike, you know, having all this functionality. So it just, you know, took some time in, you know, troubleshooting ordering parts, waiting for parts, and then just installing them. So anyhow, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to engage with you through my comments. So just, I'm happy that you guys were able to watch this video. I appreciate if you guys can share with someone who can enjoy this content as well. So thank you for watching.